at the Patriotic Alternative 2025 conference talking to some of the attendees about today's event. What inspired you to get involved with Patriotic Alternative?
When I looked around at the way that our country was going, I could see that we, the British people, seem to be people at the bottom of the pile. We seem to be the people who were not allowed to be proud of ourselves, not allowed to be proud of our heritage. We seem to be the ones who weren't allowed to have our own communities. Everywhere else you look, people are encouraged to be proud of their heritage, proud of coming from the Caribbean, coming from Africa, coming from East Asia, wherever they come from, they're told to be proud. And actually, I agree, they should be. Everybody should be proud of their heritage and should be proud of their lineage and should be proud of their families. But somehow it's wrong if we do it. It's threatening, it's dangerous. So when I heard, I've been listening to Mark and Laura on YouTube for quite a few years. When they announced they were launching an organisation, it was called Patriotic Alternative. I went straight to the website, I had a look, I read through what they were saying, and I thought, yes, this is it. I like this. So I was in pretty much from the beginning.
Because I saw a video of Mark when he was 21, and I saw what an honest man he was, that he wanted to defend what he thought was right in a unfortunate liaison with someone. But I was struck by the fact that he would sacrifice his own opinion in order to do the right thing by someone else. And I was very impressed with the lack of ego that this man showed and a greater sense of community. And that impressed me enormously. And he was only 21.
I love my country. I'm a patriot. And I don't know the way the country's going at the moment. So I thought I'm going to get involved with PA. Yeah. And they're the leading group, nationalist group in the country.
That's a question for a long-term member. I think it's more of what keeps me coming back now is the enthusiasm that Patriotic Alternative bring as an organisation, the international speakers that they just seem to pull out of a hat. I mean, the good food, the good company, the good venue, you know, it's just the place to be, people.
I discovered Patriotic Alternative late 2019, and for the first time, I heard the nationalist message being put across by well-spoken, well-dressed, well-educated people.
So I've seen the work of Patriotic Alternative, and of course I've met Mark Collette a few times, and I've been really inspired from your guys' work. And I wanted to tell you a little bit of what we have been doing in Sweden, and I hope to share the vision that we have. And as far as I could see it, yeah, I think it resonated quite well.
So what do you believe is the most pressing issue facing our community?
There's lots of things you could say, but I do believe, and I know this is going to sound hyperbolic to many people who maybe not be familiar with these questions, I believe it's a question of the existence of our people. English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh. We are the indigenous people. We are the natives of these islands. And, you know, lots of people are justifiably concerned about native populations in other parts of the world and that they shouldn't be mistreated. We're being mistreated in our own home. And I can only see that getting worse unless we recover our sense of identity, our sense of being part of something bigger than ourselves. We're not just atomized consumers, we're not just individuals. And Patriotic Alternative provides a home, provides a validation, it provides a vehicle for us to actually get back something that's been taken from us. Our pride, our sense of identity, our sense of belonging, our sense of community, which other groups are encouraged to have, but we are actively discouraged from having.
Well, undoubtedly the Israel lobby, but because everyone cowers before it. We didn't mention that today, I know, but you asked my opinion, and that is my opinion, because we have a rogue state that seems to be terrorizing the world. And we seem to have an Israel lobby that everybody has to be friends of Israel. And that, in my opinion, is the problem.
Mass immigration, crime and housing, and the safety on our streets. It's not safe anymore.
Wide demographic change and a breakdown of moral, just for me, moral leadership. I think the leadership is so poor now. Parliament has wrecked the entire kingdom. We need to start a new movement. And from that, spawns hopefully some strong leaders like Mark Collett.
Replacement of our people, without a doubt. That's over and above everything else.
Of course, the great replacement is the main issue. I think we have to find new ways to fight it, but demographic change is the main topic. We can discuss a lot of other subjects, but that is the core, the core problem.
But can you share a success story from your involvement with PA?
I can. I always view it as you could say in a strange way, I feel it's my job to actually be trying to talk to people, talk to our people, talk to English people, Irish people, Scottish people, Welsh people, the natives of these islands. And every chance I get in social circumstances, at my church. So I always feel it's my job, in a sense you could say, to actually give people the freedom to say what they're feeling, because what we are saying, what Patriotic Alternative is saying about what's being done to the native people of these islands, to our people, is what so many people are feeling, and more people are feeling this. But because of the conditioning they received in education, through the media especially, people are afraid, and they're justifiably afraid. People have lost jobs, people have lost careers, people have been put in prison for simply saying things which the establishment disagrees with. So I have had some small success in terms of talking to people, and I can think of about 6 people I know myself who I've talked to about these issues, and then they wanted to know more, and now they're members of Patriotic Alternative. And that's how we grow.
Well, I think a success story is being able to cause people to carry out the code of conduct, which is likely to be able to recruit sensible members of the public who can run eventually a government. And so I think Mark Collett and Laura Towler's idea of recruiting the public by causing us to dress appropriately to attract other normal, sensible people is a very important aspect of their work. And in so doing, I see every year I come better and greater quality of people coming. So I admire them for that, political savvy.
I'll try with Patriotic Alternative. I go out feeding the homeless, and that's the main thing I've been doing, going out in the winter, cooking hot meals and delivering them to the homeless people.
Because of Patriotic Alternative, I had a chance at running the elections. I quite thoroughly enjoyed it, and if the opportunity arises again, I will get involved.
There have been many, but the most recent one was joining the, as it's now being called, the million-person march protest in London, when about 22, 23 of us from PA stood on Blackfriars Bridge with banners handing out literally thousands of leaflets.
So what for you was the most memorable speech at the conference?
Today? That is a tough one, because they're all brilliant speakers. I always discount Mark and Laura anyway. No, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just discount it because I know they're going to be great. I know I'm going to agree with what they say. So, that's a given. So if I take Mark and Laura out of the picture, then for me personally today, I was really moved by Steve Laws. He's a great speaker, and it's simple, it's basic, it's accessible, and I like his uncompromising attitude. I think that's what we need.
Oh, I thought Laura Towler's was wonderful. It really was fantastic. Well, it's very hard to say because each one of them was very different, and each one of them, yours was excellent, by the way. I thought your introductions to each person was very, very good, and your conclusions very good. So actually, I would say that it's really very difficult to say who was the best, but I do feel that in Laura Towler and Mark Collett and those that they invite, we have the right flavour that's going to attract the sort of people that eventually can run a government. And I'm hoping, actually, that eventually when they build up their numbers, I'm hoping that I can persuade Mark to start a taxpayers' party, because I do believe, contrary to, I think, one of the speakers, and perhaps all of the speakers, actually, because they don't think that elections are possible, but I believe, since most people pay taxes, that they would be interested to vote for a taxpayers' party because it's in their vested interest. You would have 3 columns, one on what you're being taxed for, the second on what is being spent on, the big black hole, and then the third what you'd like it to be. And you can be certain that most people would not want the big black hole, i.e., all of the billions going to what can be described as criminal Israel. It's criminal because it's borderless. That's criminal to start with. And so I hope that eventually we'll build up the numbers and you will start a taxpayers' party.
I like Laura's, but they're all on par, to be fair. I like them all, yeah.
Oh, Jared Taylor, absolutely. He said exactly what people want to hear, and hopefully he goes home and it's done with, and we both leave on a positive note and smiles all around.
I have to say, enjoyable and just really an oomph speech was Steve Law's. But hearing the legend that is Jared Taylor was absolutely fantastic for me. I've been a fan for many years.
Do you feel that the conference has addressed key issues?
Yes, because there isn't any issue more key than the fact that we are being discriminated against in our own country, that we are going to be, as several of the speakers said, Steve, Dan Erickson, basically everybody said the same thing. We are going to be a minority in this country. It's been engineered that way. And that doesn't work out very well. Look at South Africa. We're going to not just be a minority in our country, we're going to be a hated minority in our country. In our country, our land. So that is the main issue. It's the only issue. Everything else is a corollary of that. And every speaker today addressed it head on.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's the same sort of principle every year, and it's the same sort of principle that will continue. White demographics, the list goes on. We deserve to exist as a people, and we will fight for the right to exist.
Most certainly. I think what impressed me very much about the conference was the variety of topics in the speeches that were covered.
I think this conference was a success, and I believe that all speeches, they attacked the same problem but from different angles, which made it really, really good.
So what are your main takeaways from today's event?
It's what it is when I go to any Patriotic Alternative event. I was talking to somebody just over dinner now, somebody I'd never met before, who's been a member of PA for about a year or so. This is her first conference. And as we were chatting, at one point, I just simply said to her, "Welcome home." And she laughed and said, "Yeah, it does feel like home." And that is the most important thing.
My main takeaway is that I feel more and more confident to see younger people coming. Each time I come, I see younger people, which is what we need, and more intelligent conversation that you hear here and nowhere else. So, I couldn't recommend higher than to support Patriotic Alternative, because I think they're politically savvy, they're very honest, they're very open, and they're a pleasure to be with.
The community, the spirit of the people, all that came, it was just a great conference, great speeches, and yes, really good.
Excellent food, excellent speakers, excellent company, excellent leadership.
Just a continuing fantastic job by PA. I've been to a number of conferences now, and they seem to get better and better.
A lot of people also here in Britain are starting to realize that the electoral road is more or less closed, and we need to find different ways to save our people and create a future for our kind.
So how would you describe the overall atmosphere at the conference?
It's exactly that. You meet old friends, you meet new friends, you introduce yourself to people. There's a sense of relief. You can feel tension draining away from, again, at risk of sounding kind of, corny. You find that your tension drains away. You can speak freely. You can speak freely to other people. You don't have to be looking about your shoulders to see if anybody's listening, like you might have to do at work or maybe at certain family gatherings, because, you're speaking about forbidden things. So it is that sense of community, that sense of home, that sense of comradeship, that sense of, I think everybody here understands in their own way that we are, and again, this was a theme that was brought up by many of the speakers, we all understand that we are actually in an existential struggle for our people, for our existence. It's not a hobby. there's nothing more important to be involved in the world at this time. And, you know, the old saying, if not now, when? If not us, who? Well, it is us and it is now.
Communal, as it should be, communal. The sense of our working together in a common cause. That's what birds of a feather flock together. It's natural. And it's a good feeling that the people have, that they understand that whether they like each other personally or they agree wholeheartedly with everything, it's beside the point. That's just ego tripping. They overall have a sense of family, racial family. And I'm very proud and really very happy to be here.
Phenomenal atmosphere, friendly, good community.
Ecstatic. I think since the announcement of such, you know, big international speakers were announced, it's really driven people's attitude to want to turn up. I mean, if we had a bigger venue, we would have had more people here. So it's a good sign, you know, that we filled the room so easily. You know, it shows how popular we are.
Really convivial, wonderful to see so many familiar faces, new faces, always friendly. And the more times I go to conferences like this, the more people I get to meet and become friends and acquaintances.
Today it has been a great atmosphere. We had so many nice people who, you know, I think I've been to many conferences all around Europe. And I think I haven't spoken to that many people who are so optimistic and so filled with this fighting spirit as it was here today.
Do you have any suggestions for future conferences?
I would hate to tell Mark how to suck eggs. So, I mean, you know, at the risk of sounding like a hopeless fanboy, you know, everything today was perfect. You know, the food was great. The speakers were fantastic. Plenty of time for socializing. That, you know, so I can't honestly think of anything that I could say right now off the top of my head that would make it any better, because it's a great balance, I think, between you're listening to speakers. There's some heavy stuff to discuss, but then there's plenty of social time. There are other people here, people from other organizations. You know, it's not completely PA. There are other people here, other groups represented. So the short answer is no, because it's brilliant.
Well, each of us should try and bring an accountant or someone who's capable of running a taxpayers' party, because I do believe that that is possible.
Hopefully there'll be more people coming next time. Maybe a bigger venue, more speeches, more people coming.
I would say carry on with what's working because it's not broken. The only thing I would say is that as numbers increase, either a larger venue to cope with those numbers. I don't know whether it's better to get the larger venue first or try and drum up the numbers, but the other idea is to go back to having maybe a conference in the north and a conference in the south, making it easier for people to get to.
If Patriotic Alternative was allowed to operate freely like any other community association or any other political group in this country, if we were allowed to have access to mass media, to X, Twitter, if we could do things under our own name, do it under our own names, if people weren't afraid of the consequences that might occur to them from being involved in Patriotic Alternative, we wouldn't have a hall with 200 people. I mean, the hall today was packed. It was great attendance. We could fill a 50,000-seater stadium easily because so many people in this country are desperate for people saying what we're saying. They just need to be given permission to say it themselves.
I certainly would. And the bigger, the better, the stronger, the more capable we are when we increase our numbers. Because there's one thing I would say about Nigel Farage, though I don't agree with him naturally with many other things, but then he couldn't possibly say anything, otherwise he would not have the power he does. But he helped the British public get over the two fear barriers. Two barriers. The fear barrier of being able to, somebody else might have heard what I said, which is real, because they may lose their job and their reputation, and the inertia barrier, those who do know what's going on, but think, well, what can we do? And I think that actually, in the same kind of spirit, Mark and Laura have helped people over those two barriers, the fear and the inertia barrier. And that's what we need. And that's what you get here. So really, I genuinely believe this is the only show in town, and it is the only show that has ever been in town, because they know how to recruit normal, rational, capable people eventually to run a government.
I would, yeah, 100%. You know, get involved, come, join, and play your part.
Absolutely. If you are an individual that, you know, is just so demoralised with how the system is now, get involved, do something about it, be a part of an organisation that is about re-election.
I would recommend it to anyone who is looking for a wide community, for interesting speeches, for good networking opportunity. To not come here is betraying yourself.
That wraps up the conference for Patriotic Alternative 2025. I hope you enjoyed all of these interviews. Please follow our content, and thank you.